Not all vegetables are safe for seniors. In fact, some can be downright dangerous if you're over 60. Let's uncover the 7 worst offenders for senior health. Now, this is not to say that these vegetables are completely off limits if you're a senior, but it just means that they can be problematic and in some cases even dangerous for senior health because we have to be careful about what we eat as we get older. And we do get older whether we like it or not. It's inevitable. Our bodies change. We don't absorb nutrients as well as we used to, which makes senior nutrition more important than ever. And so today, I want to talk about 7 vegetables that can be quite dangerous for many seniors out there, especially when it comes to senior health, senior wellness, and senior nutrition. But stay tuned to the end of this video, because number 1 may surprise you. So let's jump right into it. Number 1 on my list is spinach. Now, I'm sure you're saying, what? Spinach is healthy, right? Absolutely. And when it comes to senior health, it's a powerhouse. Well, yes, it is a very healthy vegetable. It's high in iron and it has many other important nutrients. But what's also high in spinach is oxalates. Oxalates are a form of phytic acid. They can bind to calcium and other minerals and form a stone in your kidneys. This can be painful and very dangerous. So if you're prone to getting kidney stones, which is a problem for a lot of people, then you should limit your spinach intake. Some people need to avoid it altogether. Also, spinach is high in vitamin K, and this can interfere with certain medications that some seniors take, such as blood thinners. If you're taking any medications, you need to watch out for this. Now, cooking spinach does lower the oxalate content somewhat, but not by much. So this is something to keep in mind. In general, when you're eating raw leafy greens, the higher the oxalate levels tend to be, and this is true with all of the leafy greens. Just realize that as you get older, if you have problems with your kidneys, then you might want to avoid these vegetables entirely. Now, there are other ways to get your nutrients. You just have to be aware of what's going on. Number 2 on my list is potatoes. Potatoes are starchy and they spike your blood sugar and insulin level. This is why potatoes have been implicated as a cause of increasing your risk of getting diabetes. So if you already have diabetes, please try to avoid this vegetable. Now, sweet potatoes are better than regular potatoes, but all potatoes are loaded with starches, and they will spike your blood sugar. So this is why I recommend that seniors try to avoid them as much as possible. Next up on my list is corn. Corn is another starchy vegetable. It's loaded with carbs. It's not a low-carb vegetable. And so for a senior who's trying to lose weight or trying to maintain their blood sugar level, corn is definitely a vegetable to avoid. Plus, it's low in nutrients, and it's very high in sugar, and it's very inflammatory. So avoid corn. Next up on my list is peppers. Now, peppers are great for most people, but if you suffer from acid reflux, then peppers can be a major trigger for acid reflux. Why? Because peppers contain a compound called capsaicin. Capsaicin is what gives the pepper its heat. But for some people, especially for those who have a weakened acidic valve in their esophagus, peppers can trigger a significant amount of acid reflux. So if you already have this problem, try to avoid peppers. Another thing about peppers, they're high in vitamin C, and this can be a problem for someone who has gout. Peppers can actually trigger an acute gout flare-up. Why? Because when you consume large amounts of vitamin C, it can increase your uric acid levels, and it can trigger gout. So if you have a history of gout, you might want to skip the peppers. And the last thing about peppers that you should know is that they're high in a compound called lectins. Lectins can cause gut inflammation. They can create leaky gut. They can cause all kinds of problems in the digestive system. So if you have a sensitive stomach, you're having any type of bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, you might want to avoid peppers as well. Next up on my list is tomatoes. Tomatoes contain a compound called solanine. Solanine is toxic to the joints. For people who have arthritis, tomatoes can worsen their arthritis. I had a patient come to see me years ago. He was complaining of severe joint pain in his knees. He could barely walk. He was 78 years old. And we went through his diet, and he admitted that he was eating several bowls of tomato soup every day. Well, I told him to stop drinking tomato soup, and within 2 weeks he called me and said that his knee pain was completely gone. He was walking better. So I advised him to slowly start reintroducing tomatoes into his diet to see if tomatoes were the culprit. And sure enough, after he started eating tomatoes again, his joints started to ache. So tomatoes can be a problem for some people, especially if you already have arthritis. Now, I know a lot of people will say, but what about the lycopene in tomatoes? Lycopene is so good for us. Well, yes, it is good for us. But if you're concerned about your arthritis, you might want to avoid tomatoes. Also, tomatoes are very acidic. They're in the nightshade family, so if you have a sensitive stomach, tomatoes can lead to more acid reflux. Next up on my list is beets. Beets are naturally very high in sugar. They're naturally very high in carbohydrates. They're not a low-carb vegetable. And so if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're watching your blood sugars, then you should avoid beets. Also, beets can be a problem for some people because they're naturally high in nitrates. Nitrates can increase your blood pressure, so if you have high blood pressure and you're taking medications for your blood pressure, then you should probably avoid beets. Also, beets contain a compound called betalain. Betalain is a pigment that gives beets their beautiful red color. But for some people, this can be allergenic. It can cause a skin rash. And so, if you have sensitive skin, you might want to avoid beets. Now, cooking beets does decrease this slightly, but not by much. And last up on my list is cabbage. Now, cabbage is a cruciferous vegetable. It's really good for most people. It has a lot of beneficial nutrients. But if you have a slow thyroid, or if you've had radiation to your thyroid, or if you've had part of your thyroid removed, or if you have Hashimoto's disease or Graves' disease, then you should probably avoid cabbage and cruciferous vegetables. Why? Because cruciferous vegetables contain goitrogens. Goitrogens can interfere with the function of your thyroid. They can make your thyroid worse. So if you already have a thyroid condition, then you should avoid cabbage. In general, cruciferous vegetables are great for most people, but people with thyroid conditions should avoid them. Now, the key point here is that no food is bad. It just means that some foods are best avoided if you have certain conditions. And we know that as we get older, we have more conditions. And also, as we age, our bodies change. We don't absorb nutrients as well as we used to. And so we have to be very cognizant of what we eat. Now, the next question is, what vegetables should seniors eat? What are the best vegetables for seniors? I've done videos on this. Check out the related content where I discuss the best vegetables for seniors. So, seniors, be smart about your vegetables. Not everything that's green is good for you. If you found this list surprising, make sure to subscribe and share this video so others can protect their health too.